RAIC Labs is an AI company that has developed a set of algorithms that allow you to very quickly search large amounts of imagery.
But RAIC, the AI part of RAIC, is an AI-enabled assistant. It's a human and machine collaboration where the AI recognizes patterns and things inside of your imagery.
So we know the talent is here. So that was, I think, one of the factors. The other thing that really was important to us as a startup in AI is support for a variety of different tech stacks. So we rely very heavily on Python, C#, and JavaScript. We use Python for AI, we use C# for orchestration, API services and messaging, and we use JavaScript for the applications that we build that are customer facing. And we knew the Microsoft suite of tools, including Visual Studio Code, the Azure ecosystem, and Azure DevOps all natively supported those three stacks. So it made a lot of sense to be able to bring those things in and not have to worry about different types of tool sets and things like that.
We have a very strong community inside of Milwaukee, and between user groups and Summerfest tech events and other conferences within the Milwaukee area, Titletown Tech and Microsoft having a presence in Green Bay also helps bolster the .NET ecosystem here in the state of Wisconsin. So for our Azure architecture, we are primarily hosted inside of Azure Kubernetes Service. We are utilizing Azure Service Bus very heavily for orchestrating all of our workloads. So we have a lot of workloads in the AI space that require vast amounts of compute power, as well as vast amounts of data processing. The thing that really enables us to process this imagery at a highly scalable solution is we're using a product called the Azure Spatio Catalog. So this is utilizing the STAC catalog, which stands for Spatio Temporal Access Catalog. It is a repository for geospatial information.
The best way to talk about our Azure architecture is maybe to just talk about our evolution, like how we got to where we are today, because I think it's a pretty interesting story. So as a startup, one of the things you have to do is you have to be able to pivot very quickly. So very early on in our startup evolution, we found that we were constantly creating proofs of concept. So we would take our technology that we knew was powerful, but we were trying to figure out, well, which problems does it solve and how can we solve them? So the developers having the ability to spin up resources within the Azure platform on demand and then tear them down when they were done was extremely valuable to us as a startup. It allowed us to very quickly iterate and test and then kind of recalibrate what we were doing and all at the same time tearing down infrastructure and bringing infrastructure back up. As time went on, we started to really get a good sense of where we needed to go.
So what we can do using the power of AKS and Kita, we can create our scaled jobs to run ingests in a very parallel manner. So we can ingest the entire world, which is approximately 40 terabytes worth of imagery, in just 24 hours.
We're very heavily reliant on Azure Kubernetes. That gives us the ability to dynamically scale as our customer provides requirements. So there are times when we might need a small number of VMs running in order to process the data that the customers are providing, and then the next day that might grow exponentially. So having Azure Kubernetes available to scale on demand has been absolutely critical for us.
Deploying all the same services inside of an Azure data center allows minimal latency between services. So when utilizing Azure PaaS services such as Redis and SQL Server or Service Bus, you have that low level latency, especially when making blob transfers. So we utilize Azure Blob Service very heavily. We're doing a lot of copy operations, whether it's down to our local machine or down to a server, or from storage account to orchestrate data. Having all those services inside of the same Azure data center allows a really, really low latency for data transfer and allows our backend processes to communicate very quickly.